But I am going to hand this off to Deniseea.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks for having me. I want to start off by saying I always wanted Kanye to open for me, so this was my chance to do that. So I'm gonna jump right into it. When Creative Mornings contacted me and they give me the theme, right? I'm like, Divergent. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So I go straight to Google, right? I sort of had an idea, but I wasn't quite sure. So I'll give you my version of what I believe it means. I sum it up as someone moving away from the path, someone creating their own journey. It's almost as if you're going against the common idea. The first thing that came to me was my existence as a Black woman in America. And this is also going back to Kanye, it's bittersweet, basically. So my entire existence, nothing was really created with my Black ass in mind. So with me doing anything, I had to go off the beaten path, which leads to my business. If you are not familiar, I create curated cocktails and pair it with cultural influence. Coming to New Orleans, I noticed, of course, there's a drinking culture, but I'm like, what do we do to add even more value to this? There's so much of our Black history in these cocktails. What can I do in the coolest way to combine that history with a great daiquiri and some music somewhere in between? And by the love of all my guests and things like that, I've been able to create a platform on Instagram to share these cocktails and these stories with everyone. It started on a school bus. I actually lived on a school bus for about 2 years. And that is when the pandemic hit. So I'm sitting there and I'm literally looking through my phone, watching everything be canceled. So in this moment, and this is where Divergent comes up for me, I'm like, oh shit. I've got to completely change my plan. Here I am on a school bus by choice, but now it's about to be by force because I don't have any more money. Like everything's been taken away. So I grab a old Mad Dog 2020 bottle. And I've got a friend who has just suffered a loss. So I said, you know what? I'm going to bottle a cocktail. I'm going to put this cool label on it. And I think of Soul Glow because Coming to America is one of my favorite movies. And it's like the first Black fairy tale is what I would like to say, or what I like to call it. And so I bottle this cocktail. I end up sharing it on Instagram and it blows up. And I'm like, oh God, now I've got to tell this story and I've got to share this cocktail with the world at this point. And this is more than just being behind a bar and I'm giving you a Tito's and soda. You get what I'm saying? This is the bartender path is you become this really great bartender and you might make it to Imbibe or you might make it here. But I knew that my story had to be told as Black history constantly. Every day I woke up, that was my idea. With that, and I think with Divergence, you are also committing to the failures as well. In order to agree to go off a path or go into a different direction, you're gonna get some bumps in the road. And I guess I didn't really, I knew that would happen, but like I said, I'm Black in America. I'm sort of used to it. But within my career, I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. I think I'm doing the right things taste good, so I don't know how it'll come up. But I saw myself as a trailblazer. I would like to say Dave Chappelle is my spirit animal, so I knew I was gonna come into some shit. So it's funny, before one of these Creative Mornings meetings, I wake up in Denver and I'm going through my email. And I get an email and I'm like, what? It was like an important email. And it says, cease and desist. And I was like, cease and desist of what? And from Paramount Pictures. So at this point, I'm up in my bed and I'm like, I've made it. I'm about to call my mama. This is amazing. So of course, they're coming after me for Soul Glow. And I'm like, those motherfuckers, they sent me a cease desist during Black History Month. How dare you? Like, right? So it was like this. Of course it's a success. Of course some people will see it as a failure as well, but I don't know. If they see you, they see you. Like my dad used to say, you could call me whatever as long as you call me. And it's, I could have bottled any old cocktail and slapped a label on it that didn't mean anything. This is something that meant so much to me. Like I said, the first Black fairy tale. We think about when Coming to America came out and it was on the heels of Roots, and you were so used to seeing our Black story starting off with slavery, and that's not the case. We fast forward to Coming to America and we see these this African family and African American family as the head of the movie, dripped and draped in gold and fur. This was beautiful to me. So coming from the most purest space I had been in, one, we don't know if the world's gonna end. Two, now my business is turned upside down. I could only grab from within, which I literally would highly suggest that to anyone. At some of your points or anything like that, all you can give is your purest self. So I'd say the cease and desist was almost like an award. I will be framing it, and after we get through all the legal work and things like that. But it just reminds me of Divergent. This entire path for me, I want people to understand that the cocktails and the syrups are tasty, absolutely, but the story behind it and being a Negro historian is the most important. If I can create a cocktail and make the story and make my Black history palatable for everyone, then we'd have a better understanding of one another. I'm not trying to beat anyone over the head with some terrible story or trauma or anything like that, but this is the way to share, in my opinion. I recently had someone ask me, well, what's the hardest part? Like, I know you're doing a lot of bottling and things like that, but what's the hardest part of all this? How do you think of the cocktails? What's the process? A lot of the ideas come from music. I'm deep into hip hop and to soul and to all sorts of music because at one point, that's how we were able to pass on messages during slavery and things like that. We can sing and dance in hush harbors and be able to share a message of freedom or how to obtain freedom and things like that. So I still, or I guess, a gift from my ancestors, still being able to find inspiration through music and things like that. I will say one of the challenges, surprisingly, with coming up with these cocktails and stories and sharing this history is every day reliving the trauma of everything. As a kid, I didn't really learn a lot about my Black history, so I made it my point, and whatever work I did, it would be relevant. So of course, or hopefully everyone gets a chance to see the classes online, and there's classes from the history of the cowboy, the history of African Americans and cognac and things like that. And within doing this work, past pouring a cocktail or talking about champagne or where the grape is from and things like that, I've got to relive the stories of my ancestors, and it is hard. It's almost as if it's bittersweet. Of course, you are learning and you're able to share with everyone, but you've got to relive this constantly. That's why, like you stated, this could have been a career or a problem for me. I see it as a way to give a piece of myself to the world, and this is my change in the world. Not only are we sharing a drink, but we're sharing our story. I would say to entrepreneurs, the best thing you could do, entrepreneurs are also creatives, the best thing you can do is stick to who you are. The world has been turned upside down, so we can recreate what was once a system. Like, for example, when I think about the way we would have meetings and things like that. And I'm like, don't call me in for no stupid meeting. We could have done this over the phone. And now we're doing it over Zoom and thinking about the education system and all these things. We've got to completely redo this because clearly something wasn't working. You know what I mean? And now I think it's the perfect time for creatives and creatives such as myself. That's why, you know, some of my processes and some of my deliveries can be somewhat raw, but that's how you're gonna get it. That's exactly how it's gonna be. Because it's nothing else I can give. I think about the cease and desist, and it does feel like an award, like I said. It means that we are supporting one another. The world has somewhat crumbled, but we are, you know, we're still humans. I went from living on a school bus and using recycled Mad Dog bottle to create a product that Paramount Pictures clearly saw. And it's interesting because it came from such a deep want to know my history. I was so excited to talk to you guys today because I wasn't sure if I'd ever had the opportunity to describe exactly what the work meant and what was so important about all of this. I'm not gonna cry because I said I wouldn't cry. I said I wouldn't cry. I'm not gonna cry. So, as a kid, I grew up in LA. As a kid, I was sort of teased because I was of lighter skin. So I can remember the Michael Jackson song. I can't remember what it is, but it was like, I think it was Black and White. And so my aunt would roll call with us, and she's going through all the children, and everyone's going, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black. She got to me, I said, I'm white. Because I had been teased so much. And I didn't understand that I was actually black. And I get the question a lot of, oh, your work is so this, or you're so black and you're so this. And I'm like, at one point, I didn't know if I was. So if I was making you a tamale, if I was braiding your hair, or if I was giving you a bottled cocktail on Instagram, I was gonna be very clear about the fact that I was black and I was proud of it. It didn't matter if certain brands wouldn't work with me because I used the N-word or I dropped some F-bombs or I believe Paul Mooney is Black Jesus. It didn't matter. It was, this is what you finna get from me. It's finna be raw and straight up. And I am so thankful that it has resonated with a lot of people. I thought of the word divergent and I was like, oh, different, a different path. All this, I was like, oh, it sounds like minority. It sounds like waking up in America. It sounds like, you know, like I said before, I had no choice but to diverge away from a path. That path wasn't set for me. The laws wasn't set for me. Nothing was, you know. Being born into trauma, or you sort of roll with the punches. And I go back to, we're going on the anniversary of COVID, or when the lockdown happened, and everything changed. But I can remember sitting around with friends and like, we're black, so we used to this. We're used to, instantly you gotta get out, but this ain't gonna work no more. So it was like, well, we already been fighting something. Now you just added, you know, a pandemic on top of that. But I mean, whatever. We're so used to change and rolling with it and things like that. My idea for the bottled cocktails and the syrups and these stories is that we can all get together and tell our own story. Totally non-judgmental. You are who you are. As a creative, and for all the other creatives out there, dig deep into your bag, deep into your personal bag, and pull out whatever you can. It's almost as, I get to that point for me some nights where it's like, okay, I've been up so long that I'm delusional at this point. But that's when the good stuff happens. That's when there are no filters. There's no, ooh, I shouldn't do this because of that. Or, ooh, no, if it's come to mind, go ahead and run with it. I can remember, I'm like, oh, I love Dave Chappelle. Oh, I love so and so. I love Mos Def. I wonder if that person will buy it, or I wonder if they'll buy it if I put it out. At this point, I didn't give a damn. I was already living on a school bus anyway. It was like, well, whatever happens will happen. I'll get to one of the other points I always like to share. At the time of living in a school bus, some people ask, well, why would you choose a school bus? Or why would you choose to live this way? I wanted my business decisions and my career decisions to be based just on that. What I believed in, what brands I knew that I was absolutely in love with, instead of it being based on rent and actually living. You get what I'm saying? So I live on a school bus. I mean, I don't have to take every single gig, or if I didn't believe in that company, it didn't matter. I didn't have to. I'm already living on a school bus, you know? There's no big rent that I had. It helped me and it shaped me to have the voice I have today. I believe that I'm gonna say things exactly how they are. I'm gonna live in all my ghetto fabulous truth and not have to worry about, oh, so-and-so is not gonna work with me, or so-and-so doesn't like that candle that I just posted that you all will see, that some will not like, but whatever, the candle's fabulous. But it's almost as if it helped me, I believe diverging from the path, or it gave me a voice that I finally found. I finally found my voice. I could proudly be Black. I could not have to straighten my hair. I could live all my nappy truth. I could do all these things, right? And I believe that's in my creative process. And it's in what I do every day. It's more than just, like I said, the bottle. It's more than the syrups and things like that. But I think I fell in love with the idea, just getting back to the roots of starting off as a bartender. I can't name another place where you get strangers together and within an hour, you've got people that would have never sat next to each other speaking or sharing shots, listening to music. It was the togetherness of the bar, especially the bar culture here in New Orleans. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the perfect, it's like a classroom. It's literally like a classroom. You've got these people totally uninhibited with the perfect amount, the responsible amount of alcohol, of course. And now you can share these different views. Maybe they're more willing to learn about certain things. Now, we're not gonna bring up politics because that's a whole nother thing, and that's out of my jurisdiction. But we have a point where we can share history. I was in a class yesterday, and it was, of course, a Black history class in Chicago, and we had a guest who was Latin, and he goes, I got some Latinx history. And we've all been drinking for about an hour. Brings up a picture of the second president of Mexico, and he was Afro-Latina. And we can get into, and we got into sharing that information. I was like, oh my God, look at this, all these adults. It was like adult version of show and tell. There was Hennessy involved, and Hennessy and history. Hennessy and history. Yes, yes. That was, all of this is off the rip too. This is, y'all are getting my pure everything, but somebody better write down Hennessy and history, because that's it, that's happening. That's definitely happening. I get this question a lot, so I definitely want to answer this question. People are like, what's chicken and champagne? Why would you do chicken and champagne? All right. So you think of chicken and you think of, oh, like it's chicken. We could get chicken at the gas station down here, just about anywhere. But once, chicken was exquisite. Chicken was the only cattle that enslaved people could actually own, because everyone else thought nothing of the chicken. And so, of course, we raise these chickens and we finally find, oh, actually, because the way we cook down in West Africa, we can actually fry this bird and it's gonna be amazing. Some people down south call it the gospel bird because we would have it only on special occasions. It'd be Sunday at church functions or it'd be for a special dinner. Also, it was the beginning or part of the beginning of the Black economy, where we would, before train cars had dinner carts, they would stop in towns and these Black women would literally raise fried chicken up and they would buy the chicken. It to a way that we could actually make money to build Black capitalism. And during the Great Migration, there was two foods that traveled well. So I'm talking about people coming from New Orleans up to places like Chicago and New York and Detroit. It was fried chicken and boiled eggs. We go and we think about champagne. Champagne was so exquisite at one point that you couldn't touch a bottle without it exploding before they figured out the carbonation in the bottle and things like that. So chicken and champagne together are both exquisite and rich in history. And yeah. And that's exactly who I am. I think the best thing that came out of this was Hennessy and history. I just want to say that. That's it.
I'm going to unmute everybody real quick so everybody can give Deniseea a hand.
Do you have any questions?
So first of all, I'm muting you all, but checking that allow participants to unmute themselves.
That's a whole job. I could not
So
even.
You can unmute yourself and clap for Deniseea.
Yay!
Thank you.
You love it.
All right, so we have, all right, now I'm muting y'all again because you're yelling in my ear. All right. All right, so you can go to the reactions tab at the bottom of the screen and raise your hand or put a question in the chat if you have a question for Deniseea. So, anybody have any questions?
I think I see somebody typing. Not all at once, not all at once.
They're just shy.
About that crawfish. I live around the corner from Bevy's, and what's so funny about, at first I was afraid to eat crawfish. I learned late last year how to eat crawfish. It's Friday, I've probably had maybe 8 pounds already this week. Because now it's a problem. Like literally now it's an absolute problem. So I'll try it from anywhere just to try it. And as long as it's hot, I will eat it. But I can honestly say so far the best crawfish I've had in my neighborhood has been at Bayou Beer Garden. I don't know who's doing it. It's like a pop-up. It is so spicy. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I can literally sit there and just do it for hours. But yes, that is the best crawfish in my neighborhood. Because I'm not trying to start a fight. Because you're like, you got a Bayou Beer Garden. Mm-mm. No, another one, the best chicken. We got the best chicken in New Orleans.
We're brothers.
It depends on what kind of mood you're in. Honestly, I think date will amaze. I think a kind of night where you just like binge watching something, brothers fresh out the grease. McCarty's, yes, definitely. Yeah.
What about Hank?
Hank's for the corn dogs.
Oh.
Hank's for the corn dogs, yes. I love how this has turned into food. This is I love it.
We already know we're the best cocktail, so.
Yeah, I've heard they're good. It's gotta, I mean, at this point, they're gotta be good. So my grandmother is my toughest critic. So she'll go, well, what's in it? And people are buying it, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it's good. Like, people buy it. She's just like, I don't know. I only like martinis. And I'm like, lady, toughest critic. And whenever, you do lives and you tell everybody, don't call me around this time. I'm doing a live. Please don't call. Don't interrupt. She calls me every time. How did it go? And I'm like, I just told you not to call. What's wrong with you? Yeah. It has been, it's such a pleasure. I feel like this was the first time I've been able to share the meat and potatoes of like the work. And like I said before, I've recently been getting, I just love your stories. I love your stories. And I was like, that's cool. And some people go, put it on Patreon. You should totally be on Patreon. I'm not charging nobody for no damn history that we should have had in books. That's wild. No. If you want to buy something, buy the cocktail and the syrup when it drops. However, just releasing the stories or pairing the stories, the stories with the cocktails was a part of me holding myself accountable to learning the history. So if I said I'm going to release online and everybody else is going to get used to these stories dropping, then I know that I've got to learn something every single week, learn something new and then share it. But to capitalize on it in that way, I don't think I'd be willing to do right away. I'll get on Patreon for something silly, but not for no Black history. Not in this way, no.
We have questions. Wow, that's a good one. Okay, so first, what are your plans for business after the pandemic?
I want to be an honorary professor, and I want to tour in that way. And honorary not be in a classroom setting, but almost in a TED Talk or a D-Talk sort of situation where there is not only a soundtrack to the class, but there is a cocktail, and it's almost like a school without enrollment. We'll have happy hour, but we're going to sit and go through an interactive sort of like class about history. But I definitely want to be an honorary professor, a Negro historian. Yes, that's the plan.
So good.
I always want to go on tour because I in my heart, I think I was a rapper in my past life. I was definitely a rapper.
All right, this is from Rainy. Are you sure? Are you ever going to do a bottle of martini inspired by grandma? Wait for it. Shook, not stirred. You like that?
I do like that. Her birthday is coming up, so I will definitely do that. Look, her favorite beer is a Colt 45, so I can design it after the colors of Colt 45 and collect another cease and desist. No, I'll definitely do that.
So good. Can we talk about how I got a little bit of anxiety when you brought up the subject of Mad Dog 2020?
Really?
Ooh,
You did? Did you get a little?
Took me back.
You took it? Well, so I did it because it was 2020. It was our worst year. It was the year of the Mad Dog. Yeah, you see what I did there? Well, I think everyone knows now. They've got to call me. You literally have to call me because I also work with my hands too, and my anxiety won't allow me to sit down and write some long. So everyone knows you got to ring my bell. Like I can't sit and do that. And now I think I'm a hood celebrity, so now people are like, oh, okay, I'll just call, whatever works for you. I'm like, really? Nice. And some people just pull up to my house, and that is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. But no, I have phone conversations. I want people to hear my tone too.
Let's get those custom nails too this time.
Can you talk about this?
Okay, so thank you, because this is what I came for. I noticed one, I put these on when we got here because they are custom press-ons. I'm addicted to press-on nails. It's a thing. I think nothing is sexy if someone's handing you a cocktail and it's like, what are those? So these are fitted to my fingertips, and it's funny because this is one of the businesses or the industries that had to change because of COVID. So imagine before COVID, everyone's going in, getting their nails done, mani-pedis are regular. Once COVID hit, when I tell you press-on nails skyrocketed because, you know, you'd have to do everything from home. So designs became out of this world and unique, but I just think it's so beautiful because these nail techs that can no longer go to work can actually design from home and ship out. I think it's amazing. Definitely need a sponsor for that because I feel like I live by nails. I was telling the team, I keep a glass dish of press-on nails, like mints, because you never know when you just gotta, boop. This is magic. Like, I didn't have these on when I came in here.
What?
I was sitting over here and I put them on. He said, yeah, you didn't see? Yes.
I did. It did occur to me while you were speaking. I don't remember seeing those. I remember talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
They look great.
Thank you. These are my babies. Yeah.
Advice for creatives who are stuck in their heads. Yeah.
I think I can think about moments when I get stuck in my head, and I think getting to the root of why you're in that position is holding yourself back and questioning yourself. I can go back to following your first mind, your gut feeling. If you feel like, oh, maybe this is too much, or maybe I shouldn't do this, you probably should. It's the best thing you could do because you just got to get it out. I think in the moments we get stuck is because we're questioning ourselves and if we should release, or if we should go in this path, or if this is a good idea, or if it'll be accepted by anybody else. We ain't got no time for that no more. The world is literally changing. We could be on lockdown next month. So in whatever way you are stuck in, if it's writing or painting or anything like that, just get it out. Even if you believe that it won't be welcomed or perceived well by anybody. Don't second guess it, do that shit. Keep it in the room if you second guessing it, but that's usually your hottest shit that you have, without a doubt. That's what I think. That's what I do. I was nervous about a lot of things. I was nervous about this last release from Nola with Love because it is inspired by the crab boil. And I'm like, I'm not from here. I don't want to be like a culture vulture. And I was like, nah, fuck that. I've been here long enough and it's coming from a pure space. And I've eaten so much seafood at this point and I love crab boil. I put crab boil in my deviled eggs. And I just was like, actually, whatever, I'm just rolling with it. And thank God I did. Thank God I did. Like, it's worked. So yeah, just roll with it. Definitely kiss nails. The fact that that's the first one.
Call me.
It is.
Popeye's chicken. Because only Beyonce is the other person that has an endless amount of Popeye's chicken. So Popeye's chicken is the second. I would say Nike being the third. Or a shoe, Nike or Puma, actually. Nike or Puma. I want a sneaker release because that's how I design my releases, after sneaker releases. And the fourth, not quite sure about the fourth. I do think it's interesting that I haven't named a liquor brand. Because it's not about. No, yeah. Maybe when I think about, who would be the fourth? Maybe some sort of hair grease or something like that. I love edge control because my mom was a hairdresser for 15 years. So hair is actually really important to me. I change my hair every week. That's why some people do not recognize me. I went to YouTube University to learn how to do my own hair. So some sort of hair sponsor, like combs, or I like lifestyle brands. That's why I'm very clear with people about me not wanting or basing my career around liquor sponsors, because I'm also trying to teach people how to drink responsibly. So I make sure that the work isn't honed in by, and this is Smirnoff, and this is this, and this is that. It's like, no, we can do other things. We'll just so happen to have a cocktail here and there. Maybe a water sponsor to keep everyone hydrated. Some fancy water. How about that? That would be a plot twist. Ooh, a water sponsor. Stay hydrated. I like that. The fourth is a water sponsor. Avion, that's classy. Or Voss, because the bottle's sexy.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to Creative Mornings, New Orleans. Thanks again to Deniseea Taylor. Let's give her a big round of applause. That was awesome.
I had a ball.
And now it is time for everybody to move on to their day and to the weekend with hopefully some dose of inspiration from Deniseea today. And we'll be back next month. I think it's March 26th, Friday, March 26th. But we'll be in touch about that next event. But again, thank y'all so much.